Everyone,
Good morning, Rabbi.
Good morning.
we are learning Mishna Nedarim, Parak Gimel, Mishna Vav. Now, short introduction to this next two Mishnayos, and that is a general rule is that the words of a neder are defined in the way that people use them, even if that is not the literal or biblical meaning of what they're saying. The principle is B'nedarim halach achar lashem b'nei adam. In Nedarim, we follow the language of people. Explained down here, a person making a neder presumably uses the words in the same way that the people of that time and place use them. And therefore, his words must therefore be interpreted that way, even if different from their literal or biblical meaning. Okay? That's the introduction here. With that, says the Mishnah, Mishnah Vav. Hanoider miyardei hayam. Someone who makes a neder prohibits himself to benefit from yardei hayam, which we translate as seafarers. Okay, that's his neder. He forbids himself to benefit from anyone that is a seafarer. Mutter b'yoshvei hayabasha. He would be permitted to those who are, he would be able to have benefit from people who are land dwellers, people who do not regularly travel by sea. A seafarer is not someone, when people use the term yardei hayam, which translated in English would be a seafarer, refers to people who regularly ride boats. But just because a person all of a sudden decides to take a boat trip, that's not going to include him in this neder. The neder means people who regularly travel by sea, and therefore those who don't are not included in this neder. However, miyeshvei hayabasha, let's say he makes the neder from people who are land dwellers. Okay? Asr b'yardei hayam. He would be forbidden to people who are seafarers. Sheyardei hayam b'chlal yoshvei hayabasha. Because seafarers are included in people who are land dwellers. Because eventually, right, when you get off the boat, your purpose is to get to land. So when people talk and people refer to these type of people, when they refer to land dwellers, they are not just referring to people who regularly are on land, to the exclusion of people who are regularly on the water because they're seafarers. No, that does not exclude them. Because people, when they say land dwellers, they mean to include seafarers because the seafarers will eventually land up on land, right? That's their goal. Their goal is to get somewhere. Okay? Not only, meaning when we say that when a person makes a neder that he forbids himself from land dwellers, not only do we say are included people who go from Akko to Yafo. Akko and Yafo are places in Eretz Yisrael. They're not long distances. Okay? So you might have thought that maybe the people who are seafarers, right, that only go on short distances, which means that they are going to be on land. They're going to be on land often enough. They're not that far away from land. Maybe only those people, when you say only those seafarers are included when you say land dwellers, because these are people who don't go that far away from land. But the point is not only like these. El b'misha darka lefarish, even someone who his regular habit is to travel on large ships far away from land. We could probably include for long periods of time. They are also still included when a person makes a vow from land dwellers because they must eventually return. And therefore, again, although people who regularly travel from Akka to Yafo are included. Oh, now 1 second. Here's an interesting point. So the Mishnah is saying that not only are the people who go regularly from Akka to Yafo are considered land dwellers, but even people who go further away regularly. Now, it's important to know that people who go from Akka to Yafo are included in seafarers. It's not like they're only land dwellers. They are seafarers too. And therefore, if you make a vow, a neder, prohibiting yourself from the seafarers, these people who go a short distance are going to be included in that. The point of the Mishnah is that they also can be called land dwellers. That if you make the neder to forbid yourself from land dwellers, those that go from Akko are where the Mishnah was saying they are for sure considered land dwellers, and even those who go far away. So the point is like this. If you're from the seafarer from Akka to Yafo, you actually can fit under both. You can be called a seafarer and a land dweller. If you are for somebody who goes far away, goes on long trips, that person is considered, can be included in a land. That person would also be considered a land dweller, and certainly a seafarer. So the point is that the Mishnah was trying to say, don't only think that the people who go short distances, the seafarers that go short distances, are included in land dwellers. Even the ones who go for long distances are considered land dwellers, because eventually they have to land up on land. That's their goal. They're going to land up on land. The people who are seafarers in the short distance, which we assume that they would be included in land dwellers, is more elementary. They still are considered seafarers because they are regularly traveling by sea, and therefore the person who makes the vow from seafarers would include them too. Okay, meaning it goes in both directions. Let's do the next Mishnah. It's a short one. Mishna Zayin. Hanoida maroye hachama. A person makes a neder. He prohibits himself. Literal translation. Roye hachama means, literally translated, those who see the sun. Those are his words. If you take the literal translation of these words, he's making a vow from people who see the sun. Who would you think that should exclude?
People
that are blind, because they don't see the sun, right? Says the Mishnah, no. Asar af basumin. That person is forbidden even in blind people. Because this person's intention when he said those words, those who see the sun, he really meant, and this is how people talk, those who the sun sees them. That means those who the sun shines on them. And the sun shines on a blind person too. So here's an example of, even though the literal translation of the words would be those who see the sun, the Mishnah is telling us that people who actually use this expression at that time and place, when they wanted to say someone who the sun shines on them, they would actually say those who see the sun. Now, which is not the literal translation of the words, but that's what they meant. Now, how do we know that's what they mean? Based on what? So the basis is because if they meant to forbid themselves from people who can see, they would have just made a vow from people. They would have said, "Kainim royim alai." He forbids those who see upon himself. That's what he would say. He wouldn't say royei chama, those who see the sun. If he just meant people who could see, he should say people who can see. By the fact that he added the word the sun, those who see the sun, that is the basis to say, and this is the basis to say that people mean not the Lord's translation, but they mean those who the sun shines upon them. And therefore, it would not exclude a person who is blind. Who would it include? Who would it exclude? What would it exclude? The answer is, it would exclude unborn children in their mother's womb. Sun don't shine on them. They're not out yet. So they wouldn't be forbidden. Meaning, whatever that would mean, not being forbidden at that point of time. I'm not even sure what that means, come to think of it. Another thing that would be excluded are fish. When he makes a prohibition on those who the sun shines upon, that includes animals too. It doesn't include fish. So therefore, what this vow would exclude are fish because the sun does not shine on them. Have a wonderful day and a Freilich and Chanukah.
Okay.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay, there will not be a Mishnah class, Mir Hashem, until next Thursday morning.